My religion, and sickness is my drug. Carefully craft incisions until you fit like glove. With love as my religion, and sickness is my drug. Carefully craft incisions until you fit like love, like love. With love is my religion, and sickness is my drug. Carefully craft incisions until you fit like love, like love. With love is my religion, and sickness is my drug. Carefully craft decisions until you fit like love.
Check it.
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world. I deeply desire to expand, to experience, to know, to understand, to control, to use such greater energies and energy systems as may be beneficial and constructive to me and to those who follow me. I deeply desire the help and cooperation, the assistance, the understanding of those individuals whose wisdom, development, and experience are equal to or greater guidance and protection from any influence or any source that might provide me with less than my stated desires.
Do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm the void walker.
Bad news.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Whoa, broadcasting from a shack on the top of a hill from the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void, live here on the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting. I got good news and I got bad news. Good news is nothing's changing as far as the show is concerned, but the bad news is the aesthetics are going to change. I'll tell you all about that here coming up. It is August the 27th on a Tuesday night, 2024. And strange news indeed. I got to tell you guys, I've been doing some OBE stuff with the patrons and the members and actually live recording the sessions. And I've got a couple more I got to put out. It's a more deep dive into the OBE world, but so before I get into that, let me tell you about the bad news. I know a lot of people like the intro of this song, like the track. One thing is it's like 3 minutes long. It's so freaking long. And two, there's a section in that track that's getting copyright smashed on YouTube. Now, I spent the past 4 or 5 days setting everything up on my channel, the website, the Patreon, YouTube, everything, so that all of the supporters can get what they want without having to worry about it. And that includes merch and everything. Like it took me honestly 2 weeks to set everything up, but I noticed I went through, God bless, probably 15, 20, 30 videos of just copyright hits on this intro track. And it really hurt the channel. It hurt the exposure and stuff. So I have to come up with a new intro track. I'm thinking about using the old one. For the supporters, we have a new podcast called The Void Walkers. And I do use the old school intro on that one. And if you want access to that, all you got to do is go into the Patreon or ltvpodcast.shop. And so this whole thing, this OBE project isn't going to be the entirety of the show, but it is going to be one of the main focuses of the show, right? Because we're trying to blend both worlds together, not just the OBE world, but the esoteric side of things too. So we can kind of put the left and the right brain together. The OBE world, as far as Monroe and all of that is concerned, is a more scientific approach to it. And I had no idea, like, there were so many people into it. I thought that you and I were like a small group of people that were interested in this. Like, I thought that we were just, it wasn't that many people into it. And so once I made the Discord and some of the people started dropping stuff in the Discord, and I'm looking at it right now, there's a whole channel dedicated to the Monroe Institute stuff, and every single file of the Gateway experience is on there. And I don't know if that's a good thing, bad thing, whatever. I don't care. I think that's awesome. What really got my attention, though, is how many people were actually into this. More than I thought. Like 6,000, 7,000 minimum people are into the OBE world. They're into the OBE experience. And so I thought, damn, man, that's a lot. That's a lot more. And as I started reading people's, I guess you could say, their experiences with the OBE state, they weren't talking about like the etheric. There's not that many people talking about the etheric OBE state like that I talk about, right? And I wonder why that is. I think Scott even put in the Telegram some lady that's like almost guaranteeing people that she can get everybody out of body because of near-death experience or something. But I got to tell you, man, like getting out of body is, it might be easy for some, but it's a dedicated work. But it's so freaking worth it. So the past 2 or 3 nights, I've been recording live sessions of basically what I do is I put the audio on, I talk a little bit, I put my headphones on, I lay down to do the OBE stuff, and then I talk a little bit. And if you're in the Discord as like a patron or a donor or void walker from the website, you can actually jump in there and do it with me. But even if you don't, afterwards you can talk about it, right? And I thought, oh yeah, well, this is like cool. And then dude drops, who was it? Tamishi? Somebody dropped a Discord server in our Discord called the Gateway Tapes. Yes. And almost 6,000 members of people doing the exact same thing. I'm freaking excited about that. That means, you know what that means? That means there are a ton of people trying to get out of body. That is awesome. Like, I'm a big believer in like the conscious change thing, but I also like believe in the practicality of it. So you got to help your community if you're going to change the world. Well, I can't go around here in this community and start talking to people about getting out of body around here. They'll think I'm crazy. So that's kind of why I do it on the internet. But this is actually something that you can just be involved with on the internet, and it's going to change the world. I know it is, right? But I guess secondly is that I'm not seeing a lot of etheric projections. I think the last show that we did last week, I think Studi even said that a lot of people are just doing like active imagination kind of things or whatever. Other good news, Mercury retrograde is over. Yeah, right. For sure. So that's cool. I'm really, really excited about it. And I'm going to be getting guests on the show, like I told you guys, that have to do with this subject, instead of just doing what we usually do, which is kind of like hanging out and talking about these Explorer programs and stuff. But I mean, we're going to do that tonight again too, but it's still cool. So yeah, just have to make some quick announcements on that. I got another podcast that I'm working on, which is, I can't really announce it yet, but I think you guys are going to like it. And it's going to be me and 4 or 5 other people are going to be hosting this podcast. And we're going to try to get it to where it's like a bi-weekly podcast. I got that project, a whole other project I'm working on. And so what I did was, and I know this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but whatever. I set everything up, the YouTube channel, the Patreon, the Discord, and LTVpodcast.shop. So that when all of this stuff starts growing over here for us, the only thing that I have to focus on is this podcast and just getting guests on here and because the people that listen to the podcast are pissed that I'm streaming on YouTube. I've got some emails. They're like, yo, dude, why are you, and not just Tamishi, I got a few more, like people are like, why are you not uploading all of your shows on the podcast feed? And because I don't want to upload and edit 5-6 shows a week or whatever, put them up on the podcast feed. That is insane, number one. So I have to I have to spend more time getting a show, at least a show up a week on that feed everybody has their own thing, you know? And it's crazy as a content creator. Some people love YouTube. Some people love podcasts. They just like the podcast world. Some people love just hanging out in Discord. Some people love, if they want to support Patreon, right? Like, I have a membership site and a Patreon, but there are people that only use Patreon because they support like all kinds of different creators, you know? So, yeah, pretty cool though. So I want to say for those people that did sign up to that at either at Patreon or ltvpodcast.shop, thank you. There's going to be LTV like swag that you can get just as a Void Walker, the Void Walkers podcast that we'll be doing. And I want to have some of you guys on there, right? Like, what's up, you sexy melder, Sudi? I want to have some of you guys on the Void Walkers podcast. Special stuff in the Discord, behind the scenes stuff, access to all of the downloads that we're going to be putting up. And I'm super nervous about that because I want to make something, man. Like, I want to make something that people get to that etheric state out of body, right? Like, there are people that have gone through the entire gateway process, and I have no idea why. And they're still like, the most they've experienced is like a vibratory state, or, and then they all love it, but it's not like the etheric peeling yourself out of body state that I want to get everybody to. And I think there's a secret sauce to that I'm working on. But Bryce says, I like the YouTube feed. Yeah. So I made like a membership thing on the YouTube as well. It's only $5 a month, but what I'm going to do is everything is going to go on all three. That way, if you like, whatever you like, you guys can do it there, right? Okay. Oh, and then another thing that I did too. If you want to tip the channel, if you don't want to super chat because YouTube takes 30% or whatever, you can still super chat if you want. There's a Streamlabs tip link in the description. Okay. And that's, nobody gets any of that money. That's just between you and moi. Right. All right. So let's get back into this Explorers thing. So last week, the one that we listened to got weird. It was almost like this lady was having like an orgasm on the air, like live on the air. And I told you guys, I've seen this once, but it was more like in the occult world. You know, actually it was a place I didn't want to be. I really didn't want to be there. I witnessed, I just, had a morbid curiosity to see what it would be like. And so I witnessed like this ceremony, and the lady was doing the same thing. So she was invoking all this stuff, and then she started doing this, I am this, and I am that, and I am this, and just practically started having an orgasm, kind of like the lady did that we listened to the other night. And it is an experience. People do have this experience when they channel stuff sometimes. But Jesus, it got weird, didn't it? Let's see. She must have really been enjoying herself, though. What I'm trying to find in these Explorer tapes, and there's a hell of a lot more thanks to Sudi showing us this than I thought, is someone that actually, besides Thomas Campbell, that peels themselves out in their etheric double. Right? It's not easy to find, Yeah, she wasn't Meldon, right? I must say it tickles my fancy too, Bryce. Sounds great, dude. Stoked to hear it. Yeah. So I'm kind of hesitant to pull the trigger on one of her audios again, but she had some good stuff in there. Me personally, though, the other night, the second OBE I did Introduction to Focus 10, Advanced Focus 10, and then went to and did, I did them back to back too. And then did this introduction that Beezy sent me. I already have it, but she was like, hey, 30 minutes isn't long enough for you, right? So here's an hour-long tape. That one I put down, and I started having some crazy sensations. I really did. Like, usually my body will get paralyzed. It'll get warm. It'll get paralyzed. It'll start vibrating, and then I'll start to like, buzz a little bit. Not this time. This time I was like jerking. I would get so relaxed, and it wasn't like a jerk to where you jerk when you're falling asleep. It was like a jerk from the vibratory state. So I would get like little dots of sensations, one in my knee, one in my chest, one in my stomach, then back to the knee, and then it jerked me. And I was about 50 minutes into this path working, right? Listening to the hemisync thing. And so I would relax myself again and immediately go back down to that paralyzed state. And just as soon as I felt myself getting to that vibratory state again, I would get like a hot, jerky sensation in one part of my body. It was the weirdest thing. That's never happened to me before. So I wonder if because there's more people trying to get out of body, like if that's affecting things, right? Like there are thousands of people. This is so freaking cool. But there are thousands of people trying to get out of body right now. Way, way more than when we first started the show. Like when I first started the show in 2014 or 15, nobody was talking about it. Not really. Now everybody's talking about the Gateway program, trying to get out of body. And in this community, they have actually an event happening on New Year's Eve where they're going to go through the entire Gateway process. Like everybody's going to lay down, do their thing, and go through the whole Gateway process. Imagine thousands of people doing that at once. What that might do, right? Yeah. Shit's getting fringy for sure. That's cool, right? All right, so Jared has a question in the Discord. Question about the vibratory state. I don't think I've ever gotten to what I'd imagine it to be, like a fast, buzzing, high frequency, but I constantly get to a slow rolling wave feeling. Like the whole bed is floating in a lake when some small waves roll by. First, a couple of times I got there, I thought it was a small earthquake, if you can imagine what that feels like. Anyone ever feel that? Do you have any tips to turn that into the vibratory state? Or am I there and I need to learn to peel out? Sounds to me like you're there. Here's how you know if you're in the vibratory state and you're ready to peel yourself out, is if you can't feel your body. Like, whether it's buzzing, earthquaking, paralyzed, whatever, it's like your body's going to feel completely different than it does as if you're back into your body and conscious, moving around. Like, you're not going to be able to feel it the same way. So if your mind is still awake, but your body's in a just totally almost numb, then you're close. If you're feeling like that slow buzzing, what did you call it? A slow rolling wave? Yeah, you're there. You're definitely there. How do you peel out once you're there? Okay. This is the ultimate question, right? So there's a whole lot of different methods for that. By the way, anybody wants to try out the Stream Elements tip jar in the description? I'd love if you did it, because it's supposed to pop up a little thing if you do it. I think it's cool as shit. I get excited about little bitty things, but I worked really hard on it. All right, Jane. So how do you know like when you're going to get out of body, or how to peel out? So there's different methods. There's like the rope method, where you actually, imagine yourself pulling yourself up a rope, right? There's the ladder method, where people imagine that they're climbing out of a ladder. There's the rollout method, and they are exactly how I'm saying them, where you basically just, as soon as you start vibrating, you just kind of roll like a freaking log, and your etheric body will hit the floor. What I like personally to do, what I love to personally do, is just sit up really slow. Now, I did this 4 or 5 times before I had that major OBE, the first major etheric OBE. So, I slowly rolled up. Here's the key. I want to say this right. Don't stop. Keep the inertia going, right? But you'll find it. Like, you'll try to get out a few times, and you'll either go too fast, you'll get too eager, and it won't work. You'll go too fast, and it won't work. You go too slow, and it won't work. So the way you get out has everything to do with how your body is actually vibrating. At least it was for me, okay? And when I finally figured out how to do it, all I did was I just made sure after I let the vibrations heighten, so they would come in slow, and then they would peak, and then once they peaked and started dying back down a little, that's when I started to move. Because the other times I tried it as soon as I started vibrating. And then I tried it as soon as the vibrations were like peaking. Still didn't work. Like I would get like halfway stuck or something just wouldn't work. But when the vibrations came up, peaked, and then started dying just a little bit, that was when it worked, because I just started sitting up. But you can't stop. Once you start moving, you can't stop. So even if you have to like push on your elbow or whatever you got to do to sit up, make sure it's as fluid as possible. Don't stop. Keep the inertia going until you're out of body, right? That's the peel method. The other method that works is just visualizing you being at a place out of your body, right? Like at the front door or at one of your target spots where you're kind of visualizing something that you're messing with. And you won't peel yourself out, which I think everybody should experience that for sure. You won't peel yourself out. You'll just be there. Then you can go back and look at yourself sleeping. But I think everybody for sure needs to like feel that vibratory experience, whatever it is that happens to you, and then peel yourself out and then look at yourself while you're sleeping. Let's see. Scruffy says, once in Focus 15, I heard these two voices talking about me. Yeah, you'll hear voices too. Then, he can hear us, and it stopped. Yep. Jane, are you getting to the vibratory state? She said, I tried to force myself to roll out, but it didn't work, then fell back asleep. Did you get to the vibratory state, Jane? Are you holding out on us? I bet you did, didn't you? Yeah, you'll kind of know when to do it. There's a book called How to Have an Out-of-Body Experience by William Buellman, the first one, that you don't need to do hemisync with at all. You can just listen to what he's saying, listen to his voice, and he has a very soothing and calming voice, and get out. That one works too. Who else is close to getting out? I did Focus 10 tape for the first time. I didn't have anything crazy happen. I tried to tell my arm to move, and it couldn't move. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, because you're getting to that super relaxed state where you're allowing your body to fall asleep. That's what you want to do. Oh, look at that. It worked. Thanks, Marla. She did the 421. Cool. That makes me so freaking happy. Thank you. I'm glad it works. All right. So here's another thing that I noticed too. The OBE state is exactly what they teach in magic with the middle pillar. So I have an audio that voice guided audio called the middle pillar, where I help people relax, do the middle pillar exercise. And then there's different versions of the exercise, like Egyptian, Latin, whatever. And then there's a path working. But I added, and I never heard this before. I didn't steal this. I swear to God, I did not steal this from the Monroe Institute. But I added on the swirling part, right? So when you do the middle pillar, you imagine the light going through your spine, coming out the top of your head, and then pouring out like rain, kind of like shaped like your aura, and then going back underneath your feet and then exploding again, right? It had been so freaking long since I listened to the Gateway tapes. I forgot that they do that too, and they call it the ball or whatever they call it, but then they actually start spinning that ball. So not only do you visualize the energy raining out, going under your feet, the next visualization is the energy going out and then starting to spin like in a toroidal field, which is supposed to protect you. So that's fascinating. Here again, we have ancient Kabbalistic Hermetic rituals and what the Monroe Institute are doing, both of them, doing the same visualization exercise, right? And that means the middle pillar is like heavy. It works. It works really good. Some of you people are about to get out of body, and you're not telling me, are you? I didn't feel a vibratory state. I woke up with my body completely asleep, but my mind fully awake. That's perfect. And then I knew I was almost there, but everything was pitch black. I couldn't see anything. Did you? Yeah. Yeah, you're getting there. You'll come out of body totally blind, for sure. Wait till you start walking around in your etheric double and you can't see nothing. It's a trip. Mike Maxey, do you guys use the YouTube Gateway tapes or getting the tapes from other? So the first two Gateway Voyage introductory tapes, you can get out of body with those. You could just listen to those enough if you can do it in a 30-minute session and get out. But there is a Discord channel. Here, let me find it for you. That has all of the tapes on them. And I'll drop it in the chat for you. What's up, Dragon Rose? Did you leave and come back or something? Let's say here. Can I invite people to this Discord? It's called, yeah, here it is. This is a whole 6,000. Oh, dude, it won't let me invite him. It won't let me do it. I'll put it in the description after the or when we listen to the when we start listening to the tapes tonight, I will drop it in there. I don't know why it won't let me do it. Anyways, it's a whole Discord server with all of the audios on them, every single Gateway Experience audio and an entire community that are all trying to get out of body together. I just copied and pasted a freaking, like 9 pages of shit in this little box. Okay, let me try it one more time. Copy. Make sure y'all join that if you want access to the tapes. There it is. Boom. That should work. All right, so was I answering a question? Yeah. Jane. Yeah, everything was pitch black, right? So yeah, you're in your etheric body, but you just hadn't got out. You'll start feeling vibrations soon enough. You will, I promise. Or it'll be warmth. It'll either be vibrations, warmth, or like really loud noises. And like the other dude said, you might actually hear people like start talking, like people in the astral realm talking around you too. It's trippy. One time I got in the hypnagogic state, and I felt like I was in a freaking cafeteria. Thank you, Sudi. Love you. One time I was getting out of body, and it sounded like I was in a freaking cafeteria, man. You know what it sounds like when you're in a cafeteria? It's just blah, 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 like voices everywhere. Yeah, I could not get out of body after that because it freaked me out so much, you know. All right. Dragon Rose. Yes, I finally found my original Discord and joined through that. Awesome. Okay, I got to start these tapes because I plan on we got to dig some of their shit out. We got to find one freaking explorer that's had a etheric out of body experience. Damn, what was I going to say before that? Oh. So when you're blind, when you get out of body and you can't see, the only trick that I know that works, it has everything to do with your willpower. So just like in magic, when you're in an OBE state, everything has to do with how balanced you are, how relaxed you are, right? How focused you are, and your will. I know that sounds crazy, but when you get out of body and you can't see, you can command yourself to see, but you really have to believe it all the way down to your core, because your body itself is not attached to this thing that you're in. You have to think about this, right? Your eyeballs have nothing to do with what you can't see, but there's something blocking the fact that you can't see, even if you hadn't got out of body and you're just laying in your body. He has this command called awareness now. So you say it sternly, awareness now. If you fake it, thanks, Mike. Appreciate you, brother. If you fake it, the astral realm will know, right? So I started getting upset at myself. Like I told you guys before, I would come out of body and my feet would rise up and my head would be stuck. Or I'd come out of body and I'd be completely blind and not be able to see. So I started using what William Buellman's was talking about. And because my will wasn't strong enough, I actually said, like, awareness now, like I was trying to be all stern about it. And he like, I got to give you guys a link to this book too. He instructs how important it is for you to believe it. Mine was like half-assed because I started to see and everything was like fuzzy. Super fuzzy. What's up, Domek? So fuzzy. And then it went back to black. And I'm like, damn, dude, my will must suck. Because he said, you know, he could just turn it on. Like, he could see like that. But first time that happened to me, I got straight out of body. I walked over to this desk and I started feeling around on the desk. Like almost like I was freaking out, you know? There's going to be some weird noises in this tape, y'all.
This is session 1718, session 33 with MDG on 5/27/86.
1986. So they're going, I'm sure he's going to the, let me just fast forward this. Getting himself at least to like focus 10 or 12 here. What's up, Cosmic?
It had to do with the loss of our knowledge within when we come into the physical form. And we talked in that session about the raising of children and kind of what happens to children in this area of kind of losing the knowledge they have when they come into the new form. And
Just real quick question though. I'm gonna annoy the shit out of you guys. I'm gonna interrupt these Explorer tapes a lot, and talk. But show of hands in the chat, how many of you guys got out of body when you were kids? Like you had some really strange astral experiences when you were kids. One, that's the first question. And two, were they scary? Right. They don't have to be scary, but I kind of want to know. Just curious.
And I'm wondering if it would be possible to raise children in such a way that they did not lose contact, so that they had to work so hard as adults as we do in getting back into contact again.
That's a good question.
It is the so-called nature of the game that this contact is,
Oh, shit.
this remembrance is not there, is lost, so to speak, temporarily. The raising of the children,
Yes. And
so that they may have this, or that they may have whichever, is a projection of the parents of wishing their child to have everything, of overprotection, of desire for the child to experience what the parent could not experience, to have what the parent could not have, to not have the pain, suffering, to have a certain experience. These projections are a projection of judgment onto what this individual should experience for their encounter on the physical plane, and what would not be a good experience for them. This is not this type of projection has been related in various ways from various parents onto what they would like their children to be, as opposed to the natural growth of their children. The children often do not take the paths laid out by the parents for various reasons. A path structured as which may seem to be too limiting to an individual. Experience denied an individual, the individual will seek out various experiences and wish to determine its own path.
Well, most kids do that, right?
And this is more of a mode of operating of freedom than would be to try to direct an individual past all these so-called negative experiences or shallow, hollow experiences.
Yeah, most kids do that.
Into what you would consider a proper experience. The child must seek these out themselves. A child will, again, follow by the example of the parents to some extent, that the parents must be true to their own beliefs, and then the child may accept these as their own. Words do not mean as much, or they mean very little to a growing child as compared to the wonders of all the various other experiences of which the child may enter into.
The way I'm hearing that then is that if the parents are individuals who are in contact with their inner sources, that it would be possible to maintain that state with the child.
Yeah, that's like, I think we screwed, like when I was a kid, we're at a 50-50 vote right now. Most of you guys said yes, you had astral experiences when you were a child. Not everybody said that it scared you. I had some where I was just flying, like it felt like I was on the end of a string and someone was just slinging me around. I could feel it in my stomach, like I was on a roller coaster ride or something. It was crazy. But yeah, like I feel like we do our kids a disservice when they're like, oh, I was floating around in my room or whatever, or I had a dream. And I'm not saying we should keep them scared, but we should empower them more, because when I was a kid, my dad was like, oh, that stuff's all in your mind. I think we should develop it more, honestly. I don't want to go on a rant here, but I believe that it's a natural thing for us to be able to get out of body. Like, we are way more than our human bodies. We're only here for, like, it goes by so fast. We're just here for the experience, right? So somehow or another, like, we were born with that ability to get out of body, float around, come back into our bodies, do our thing, recharge at sleep, whatever. Like, we were born with that. And I don't know who or what, when, how, and where we stopped or started telling each other that wasn't real, you know. I think it's just as natural as breathing, and we screwed it up, and we're just trying to get back there. Just my opinion, though. ADD rant.
If the parents are, yes, within these parameters, the child will have a good so-called role models, you may say, and will have these to view their perception of the world from. And in this way, if these role models project a perception of say calmness, of security, of being together, so to speak, a child will view this as a stable position, as if then compared to the world seems helter-skelter. What we were saying earlier is that this method is a more practical method than trying to guide a child. A child may resist best intentions, and best intentions may not be, maybe from your perspective, right, but maybe from the child's perspective, a very limiting course to take. A child will naturally, if the parents are of this secure, together nature, a child will naturally, in its quest for knowing and understanding, will question the parents, will seek to know what the parents know. And in this course, it will not be a attempt to guide in the one sense, but it will be guidance from another perspective. But it will be the child's choice. It will be the child leading themselves towards one direction or another. And that if a child chooses something which the parent considers very
I agree.
frivolous,
Ryan.
It is just the parent's perspective on this. The child may need to experience whatever this may be to gain proper perspectives.
I mean, a lot of this stuff is kind of obvious, honestly, if you think about it from like a conscious being coming to the earth, right? Like a conscious being coming to the earth and put in a body for the first time, not used to this reality, just woke up. You know, how do you think it's going to act? It's going to take a few years for it to develop, for you to guide it and show it, you know, all the stuff that you're supposed to show it on the earth. I mean, that's important for sure. So I'm kind of curious. I think, is he getting at that the parent should guide them or wait till they get older before they start talking about out of body stuff? Because I think he's channeling this from another being or something, or it's a download or something like that. I'm not sure yet.
Themselves on this and other so-called small realities within the greater reality.
We're very interested in this this topic for many years. The great dialogue in the area of child development here has to do with this what's called the nature-nurture argument. That is, how much of what the child is in the very nature of its being as it comes into the earth plane, and how much is a matter of reflecting whatever the environment is. And from what you're saying, I can see that both parts of this have some reality in them. I'm wondering if kind of in the same general area we were asking about before, where the issue is how much the child is able to stay in contact with the energies such as you represent, and continue to be able to use these energies versus have them cut off, the contact cut off, as seems to be the norm in the earth plane. If a parent is using the language of contact with the child, telling the child that contact is there, and they must do that. They must try to remember who they are, so to speak. And yet, at the same time, the parent is not really seeming to be in control of their own life with respect to planning a life that's comfortable to them. What is the impact of this on a child?
That's a good question, actually. really. Sudi says, I can't remember who, but I remember someone saying the noise of crackling, hissing, and the feeling of vibrations are our senses interpreting the electromagnetic frequency of our astral body separating. That makes a lot of sense. Ryan saying, epigenetics show that a trauma experience can be passed down through genes or generations. Yeah, you ever wonder about that? Like the shit that you go through? What did your parents go through and their parents if you're going through the shit you're going through, right? Makes you wonder.
The child, the impacts may vary widely depending on varying circumstances. This in itself is but two factors in the in which the child is in contact. There are very many other stimuli coming into the child from various other sources. The child may at some time view others' parents, and the parents can at this point represent the other's parents can at this time represent a more stable factor than his own parent. And in such, if the viewpoints are of this is what his parents is doing is a abnormal or a bizarre thing to do, the child may then look on his parents in this perspective. A child may, from another course, may realize this contact, and from its perspective at the time, consider it valid, the interactions with the parents. From various points, the child may adopt. The child will view the so-called connection from its perspective. The perspective may just place the communications in with a type of companion, other child companion of which they play with at off times, sleep, or at other times.
So-called imaginary
and this
friend.
can then take a backseat to a physical companion of which the individual becomes very attached to. The stimula with the parent, the inconsistency within a parent may then confuse the child as to the validity of their words on this meaning, and the child may then take it for just words, of which is not serious, although this may work towards the child becoming more serious into it, to this accepting it.
All right, so this is getting pretty pretty vague, honestly. Where the guy's, I mean, it sounds to me like he's in a high conscious state channeling this stuff, but most of us, like you and me, know this stuff, right? And we know what he's saying. Hopefully he'll get into some more profound stuff, but we're listening to the Explorers program here on Lighting the Void. I've asked, that was weird. I've asked the audience, did you have astral experiences when you were a kid? I thought the majority of you were going to say yes. There's been 10 votes so far, and only 40% of everybody has said yes. Very kind of interesting. We have to do the Fringe FM radio station break, which is only a few minutes, and then we'll be right back with more Lighting the Void coming up. You can also call in at 501-777-5631. Stay with us. 1 pound chicken wing.
Hey, this is country music singer and void walker Jason Benoit, and when I need my fix on the world of magic and the capabilities of the human consciousness, I listen to Joe Roop right here on Lighting the Void Radio.
Have you ever wondered, what do the stars say for me? Or, will the next month or the next year be more favorable? How about, are our two signs compatible? Each month, at the new moon, you can ask these questions live with me, your astrologer psychic, Mary DeCina, along with host of Lighting the Void, Joe Roop. Join us at the new moon for Cosmic Conditions. We look forward to working with your energies.
Every new moon at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Bumper stickers are a fun side hustle with low-cost investment that has built-in advertising to attract local customers in parking lots, rallies, gatherings, conventions, venues, and more. You could potentially sell these bumper stickers on consignment to local businesses, tattoo parlors, head shops, or any other independently owned store that might gear toward the fringe. Bumper stickers are great gift-giving ideas for friends and family. Also, a way to wake up your fellow travelers on the path without having to waste energy in tiresome debates. No car? No problem. Bumper stickers will stick to just about anything with a semi-smooth surface. Go to www.justbsme.com and get your bumper stickers today.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
This is Malorcas 45, fan of the Fridge FM, challenging everyone to open their mind's eye. Listen to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop to gain precision for your third eye vision.
Lighting the Void Radio live on the Fringe FM. All of you guys are listening live on the stream and on the radio station, TalkStream Live, Live 365, wherever you're listening from. What's up, Florida? What's up, Kansas? Cali? Some of you Canadian people? Got some people in Europe listening? I used to go through like city by city, and all of you lovely people on YouTube, thanks for your support, your tips, supporting the show and supporting the radio station. We really couldn't do this without you, or anybody for that matter. And if you want to support the show and you just can't in any way, you can just listen to the podcast and listen to the ads on there, and that'll support too, or leave a review. But we just couldn't do this without you guys, so thank you. All right. So we're going to get back into the Explorers thing. Yo, we've listened to, how many of these have we, let me look at the votes real quick. 12 votes. Most of you have not had astral experiences as a kid. Really? Okay. I thought that would be totally different. What did you do? Like Jane, I remember rolling out of my bed a lot. Like your physical body or your astral body when you were a kid? Yeah. like I've rolled out of my bed when I was a kid and hit the floor. That was me. Man, some of you guys have had some interesting experiences for real. So this guy that is under, he is going through the Monroe experience, the Explorer experience, and he's talking about children. And so far it's been pretty vague. I'm hoping that we'll get a little bit more information. I still can't tell. As I'm reading the description of the audio, it says 5/27/1986, raising children to maintain inner source contact while allowing them to explore and learn on their own. child develop memory and perception and childhood development and structure. Well, it's been pretty vague, but maybe we'll get some cool information. We will see.
Themselves or towards the rejection of which, or towards just the lukewarm response of this is all nice and good and I wish we could do this. I wish somebody would tell me the right way, and it's all nice words, but reality is out here and I cannot see what they say. This, a child, as in any person on the physical plane at any moment, has an infinite number of paths that they may go on. And to state of one stimulus coming in to an individual at a certain time to direct is very hard to consider, because much stimuli is coming in and much stimuli has already been received. The child will.
I hope you weren't on the top bunk, Jane, when you fell off your bed. Jesus.
Proceed in a tentative direction on its own, in very much control of the direction. The small individual its perceptions are
the small individual
different than an adult's perceptions. A child proceeds from past perceptions and the past perceptions of children are more limited than of an adult. But the child will proceed with these perceptions and be in control of its direction. A child is an individual on the earth plane like many other individuals, in that it controls its reality. To try and understand the child's movements, the child's directions, you must adopt the perspective of that individual. From their perspective, things will look totally different.
What does he mean by that, I wonder?
From their perspective, if you could possibly do this, take a child's perspective, view their reality, what to them the world is. The insights gained from doing this would in turn help your interactions with this individual. There would be a more understanding with where the individual is at within their reality.
What the hell was that? Did y'all hear that? Was that his stomach?
Yes, now there are several things I'd like to ask you about in relation to that.
Y'all heard that, right?
When you speak of the past perceptions of children being more limited than that of adults, are you speaking here entirely of the past perceptions as being those in the physical form, or can we think of children as in their early years having some perceptions that have come from their before the physical experience?
The past perceptions of which we were referring to, this was a manner of placing the overall perceptions of an adult, which, if you view the perceptions of any given time are basically the same. The perceptions that a child would have would be vastly different than the perceptions of what an adult would have. An adult used to interacting with the world at large, so to speak, a greater reality. The child, whose world would be a much different world, it would be one of the interactings within the family and the world would be much smaller, as you understand
there it is again.
that these terms greater and smaller are just for understanding. The child's perception.
Is that his stomach? Or is that just some like weird noise in the background? It sounds like his stomach. I hope it's his stomach. Otherwise, it's freaking me out. Gotta be.
Will be just as many and as varied as the adults, although may be totally into a different path, a different type of stimuli that the child has pulled in. The child may spend much energy on a bumblebee or a butterfly, as the adult spends much energy gazing at a expensive car.
Well, I don't know about that one.
These in itself can show you the various perspectives of which these two will take when trying to communicate. And the child will has spent much of its existence on various stimuli of which an adult would consider a frivolous or a boring or it's just a bumblebee. I've seen millions of them. Type of reaction to a child. It is.
All right, so I'm confused. This guy he's definitely not in an etheric out of body state, whatever. But is he channeling, or is he just in a higher state of consciousness and speaking like downloads? It doesn't specify at all. Y'all help me with this in the chat if you can. I don't know I don't know what's going on here. I mean, this is good info, but is he channeling this or is he just downloading this?
Wonder, excitement. It is many things. A child's world, a child's previous experiences versus that of an adult may be equally as full, but the perspective of which a child takes in his experiences, of where he focuses.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
To bring in, focuses on the stimuli of which he is viewing, can be extremely different than an adult, even placed side by side in the same environment.
Yes, we certainly sense the importance to us of hearing that. One of the things that we have, some have believed here, is that a child coming into the physical does have memory of other experiences in the non-physical, or perhaps even in other physical experiences, and that it is the nature of the physical to try to get them to forget these experiences. Does this happen really, that the child does have these memories and that we sort of squash them, or is the child does the child come into physical without any kind of memory of other experiences in the non-physical?
A child enters the physical we may say pure, although this is not the case, but we will say it for illustration. The child is able to perceive a great deal, is able to perceive much. A child is what could be called, in one sense, open. Much stimuli is always being bombarded on the child. The child in the physical focuses on many variety of the stimuli. An open individual may have the remembrance of past, but a child has an infinite number of other sources of stimuli flowing to it. A variety and constant change. The perspectives, the reality around the child are constantly changing. Are constantly presenting new stimuli for the individual child. It is as though the child were drinking it all in, and there is only so much that a child may drink in. The one source, you may say the original source, that the child has may become crowded out. It may happen at various times to various individuals, depending on how much...
What do you say, crowded out?
Or how strong or of what type the other stimuli facing the child is. And the child will
crowded
set
out.
about blocking certain stimuli when it focuses on other stimuli. And these various blocks will then limit what the child may experience. The child will then not be as open as originally. These words do not fit in that they have other meanings for adults. But this is the general idea.
Oh, yes, thank you. We've sometimes been told, in fact, many believe that a child needs much structure in the earthly plane in order to be non-anxious. This seems at odds with the idea of keeping the child totally open. And I think my question about that is the thinking of the child's remembrances of past and also the large number of stimuli coming in the earthly plane. Is this, can the openness to all of this create anxiety in the child?
It may create this. A child will tend to limit the amount of stimuli coming in, although in some cases a child may not. But we will say a child may tend to limit the stimuli coming in. It has been for an adult to structure and to direct the child towards a certain stimulus from the adult's perspective, to then see a certain amount of growth progress within a child along what the adult considers a perceived path of knowledge.
You think that might be why like kids take naps so much too? Is this not because they're tired, but because they're like consciously overstimulated, you know? Yeah. So I remember like when my son was little, you could see in their eyes they're just taking it all in, right? And then when he would nap, he would just go down, you know, quick. It may have a bigger effect on him than we think, right? Not, yeah, of course, like the earth stuff, but consciously, like if you're just a blank slate of like consciousness, and then you come into this plane, it's got. I mean, I don't remember being born, do you? But like, it's got to be overwhelming, man. Like in the mind, you know. Also, I mean, if you study like psychology too, like this is one of the biggest reasons why our parents affect our unconscious and our programming so much, is because we're in this place of like, what the hell is this place? And we latch on to the first thing that feels emotionally safe. Our parents, they're always there if they're good parents, right? And they're making us feel safe. They're teaching us stuff. So, I mean, we latch onto our parents as babies, like with every ounce of our being, right? Like it's really important to understand that if you're raising children from a conscious point of view, not just physical development, you know.
Reality in which a child comes into, and of which adults project onto this child and guide this child into various environments of which has been built before the child enters. The child will view this environment, will become a part of all of the stimuli flooding into it from the environment around. Child will, through the adults guiding and directing, their purpose is so that the child will fit into this environment of which they have built and which they have set the rules. They will structure and bring the child into this structure so that the child may operate in a perceived normal function of which they are used to. A child that comes in and rejects the structure and wishes to experience all the stimuli coming in may be labeled by the builders of the environment as being various of having various abnormalities, of being labeled by these as a non-productive negative. This child will never fit in. This child will never live a normal life.
Wait, what?
From the adult's perspective, it may be a wasted life.
Dude, he has to stop. Like, I don't know. Maybe he can't help it because he's channeling or something, but man, he's got to stop doing that. Like he said, the child will never fit in. And then, like, I thought he was done, but then he said from the adult's point of view, right? Like, yeah. I mean, some parents don't want to hear that, but that's true. We treat our children a lot. I mean, I know I did when my son was little. When he started doing things, I would think about like, oh, how's the world going to react? Or are they going to treat him different if he's this way? We think about that all the time. That's okay, but we should help develop them too, consciously,
Because a child,
I want another kid. Am I too old to have another kid?
To experience other stimuli, wishes to follow its own direction. Much energy will be directed towards the child to correct this so-called defect.
Yeah.
The child will come under heavy influences to fit in within the certain projected growth and learning patterns of the physical plane.
You have to think about that too. You're already like an authentic conscious being when you come into the world. You're an authentic being the moment you're born. You have no problems with yourself other than the fact that you're in this place. You don't know what the hell it is and what it's about. It's the world that takes away your authenticity, right? Until you get older and you start trying to get it back. It's a pretty trippy thought, man. And the fact that we have to go out of body a lot to, I mean, it says a lot about us where we are consciously. A lot of people don't realize these deeper things until they get out of body or they have a spiritual experience, right? That all of this has to do with you authentically expressing yourself. And that's a pretty good statement. Who said it? Scruffy, maybe? Ryan? About the louche energy that everybody talks about it being something to be afraid of. But it might just be consciousness trying to get that feedback loop. Like, we should do a whole show on that louche thing. I think it's misunderstood too.
Of which the adults have constructed. They have built what they call the parameters, and they wish for all children to fit within these parameters. And if a child does not, the child is seen as a problem child, of which may vary of what the problem encompasses, according to the structure that the adults have built, saying because the adults have built the guidelines, a child goes one direction out of the structure and it is this type of problem, versus if a child was to do something else.
Yeah. That's why they test you all the time. You know, when you say, don't do that, stop it, right? They'll make sure. It's not that they want to defy you. It's like that they're still, especially when they're really little. It's not that they want to defy you. They're just making sure that's a real rule, right? So the oldest memory I have is being consciously aware, and a memory is me drawing on the wall with a permanent marker, one of those big, fat, smelly ones from like the 70s or whatever, probably early 80s. And I just scribbled all over my grandmother's wall. And I remember them just freaking out on me. That's my earliest memory. And I remember doing it a couple of times, even when they told me not to. Right? Pretty crazy. I don't know why I thought of that.
Adults have constructed their reality, the environment, have put much energy into this, and consider it to be the only reality, and in their perspective, in their view of which they wish all children to fit in to this, to their reality, to their environment, to operate in a prescribed manner, to be what they consider to be a productive member of their environment.
A productive member of society, right? That's what you're supposed to be.
Part of which a reflection of themselves, a confirmation of their perspective. The environment has been built, the structures have been built to direct a child is normal, to allow a child or any individual is not the norm. Allowing within such a structure, the structure is not orientated for this.
Oh, that's That's very helpful information for us to have, and we thank you for it.
That's a lot.
I would like now to take a little of space and time here for you to communicate anything else that you would like to Michael, in case he has any issues left over from his childhood.
What the hell? It sounds like they're in a kind of like they're in an echo chamber. So here's what's weird. She just said, I'd like to talk about your childhood. And this silence goes on for, I want to say, a good 5 minutes of nothing but silence. That's kind of creepy. Like, he's just sitting there after she asked him that question. Listen, let me make sure I got this right. That's definitely his stomach doing that.
Allowing.
I would like now to
listen.
take a little of space and time here for you to communicate anything else that you would like to Michael, in case he has any issues left over from his childhood.
Oh, okay. I thought she wanted it. Now, that's why he's silent. So he sits in silence and receives, I guess, a message about his childhood for like 8 minutes, I think.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello there. We are most grateful for the information brought through by the energy this morning, and we want to offer our thanks.
Gratitude.
And Michael, when you're ready, we would like to have you begin your return.
I feel that I'm ready.
All right, very good. I'll bring yourself back then to focus 10.
Okay. I have to stretch.
Sounds appropriate.
All right, so he's back in focus 10. So that's interesting. So he got all that message about children from using the gateway experience. Very, very interesting. I mean, to say the least. So keep, after the show, I'll be in the Discord. Marla, make sure you sign up to the LTV Discord, damn it. And we there's a voice room in the Discord called After Show Chat. I'm in there, and I'll hang out in there for a little bit if you guys wanted to jump in there and discuss anything after the show. Let me drop that in the chat, too. I'm going to make sure I keep dropping that and promoting that. I don't know if Telegram is going down. I heard they were because the guy got arrested or something. That's funny. Every time we create a platform for, like, free speech, either it conforms or gets taken down, right? Like, people want to take it down. But, yeah, you guys joined the Discord. Thank you guys for your support, the patrons, the donors, all of you guys that listened tonight. Boston, Puerto Rico, New York, San Francisco, Kansas. I'm missing some people on the radio station, too, that listened in tonight. Yeah, if it wasn't for you guys, like if it wasn't for all of you, we wouldn't be able to keep doing this. I'd like to do it more, and when it gets practically sound, I'll do it more. And tonight, I'm probably going to do one more Gateway experience, like a live session too, for you guys that do that with me. You don't have to do it live with me. You can just show up afterwards and listen to the videos, but you should have every file from the Gateway experience in that Discord server that I shared. Also, we'll be going over other methods too, other than just Monroe's. I'm getting everybody out, man. Where's Grant Gets Out? That's one of my favorite usernames. I should have changed the podcast to the name Joe Gets Out, right? Joe Gets Out. Because everybody's going to get out. I'm going to get everybody to the vibratory state, and we're all going to peel out, and then we're going to go from there. At least 15, 20 of us, right? So thank you guys for listening tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same channel, right here on the Fringe FM and on Lighting the Void's YouTube. What's up? Is that you, Penelope? Hopefully that's you. You got different names in every, yeah, that's you. In every room. It's always a different name. Okay. So I'm giving you tips tonight. So you get a donor roll, right? So does Sudi. And that means you can jump in the after show chat. And I'll be in there. And you can all just vent. Pretty interesting. Tomorrow night, we're going to talk about gravity. So the same guy that channeled this material tonight is going to channel some stuff about gravity, what gravity really is, and how that we can use it to our advantage. That's what it says, man. I have no idea what he's going to say. I haven't pre-listened to it, so we're going to listen to it together. Happy void walking, you guys. Like, make sure you stay authentic. I love each and every one of you. Night, night. Sweet dreams.